Welcome everyone to the NormalCast, the official podcast of Normalcy Studios, and today we're going to jump right into it. Oh, I'm Matt, by the way.
I'm Adam.
That was almost professional. We're jumping right into our review of a certain Captain Marvel movie that came out this weekend.
Which one?
The one with Brie Larson.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. It was... That's our movie of the week that we watched. Went to see that, and we want to give our thoughts and opinions. So we're going to start out spoiler-free this first part. I will put a time code where we will start talking about spoilers and where then we will move on to different topics so you can witness whatever you want to witness of this review. But we're just going to start off. Adam, first I just want to hear if you had one sentence for this movie, what would it be?
It's a good movie. It's not a great movie.
Okay. My sentence would be, they could have done more with the things they had. That sounds more negative than it should be, but that's what my kind of takeaway is when I've been thinking about it. Yeah. But let's dissect both of our thoughts on this. So, because I saw in like a text when someone asked you about it, you said good, not great, and then my dad asked me about what I thought of it, and I just copied your text because I'm like, yeah, that's my thoughts as well. I know there's like two camps of thinking on this. Like a lot of people want it to be terrible, a lot of people want it to be great. Congratulations, we're going to appeal to neither of those people and say it's very middle of the road.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what more to say generally about it. It's just kind of like let's start with things we liked about the movie. Adam, what are things you liked about this movie?
There are some non-spoilers. There are some interesting things they do with certain characters or groups of characters.
I'm going to say everyone knows the Skrulls are in it. I like the Skrulls. I think they were utilized well in various ways. I'll put it that way.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, I think there were, like, plot-wise, there's lots of great plot points in this. Mm-hmm. And I'll get back to that a little more when I talk about things I don't like. But, like, there's lots of great ideas in here, and there's plot revelations I really liked. It's got lots of things that are fun and you can laugh at. Like a good time to go see, because like kind of a bottom line I think we said is like, I liked it. I'm not gonna rush back out to see it, but
I probably won't ever see it again.
Yeah, I probably will because I'll see it with my parents or at least my mom or something. But yeah. And I'll enjoy it because there's fun. Like there's good bits. Everyone's talking about beforehand, like the cat stealing the show. It doesn't steal the show for sure.
Sam Jackson with the cat.
So yeah, so that's one of my main highlights. Nick Fury is wonderful.
Yeah,
I love what they've done with his character in this film. He's still pretty green. He's been doing this like a little bit, but not with aliens. He's been like they've been handling little things.
He's newer to S.H.I.E.L.D. if I understand.
Yeah. Because he's still called, because again, he's in the trailer, so we can talk about, like, Coulson is in this as well. They bring him back for a little bit. But, because he calls Coulson a new guy. So he's not, like, the new guy, but he's still, also S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't deal with this stuff yet. Like, this is their first real, because, like, the first time, like, he sees one of the aliens in, like, full form, he's like, whoa! Like, but in general, Nick Fury, a delight in this movie. He's my favorite part, by far.
By a good amount.
And I don't mean that in a mean way of other parts. I mean, I love Sam Jackson, and I think this was a great look at what his Fury was like before he became a very hardened, no-nonsense director.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was great. Many people know Ben Mendelsohn is in this movie. I don't want to talk about too much for non-spoilers about, what he's doing, but as anyone would expect, he's a really good go-to when you need, any kind of guy that you want to talk menacingly at any point. And they do great things with him. I think they made great choices with him, and he does a great job. I will stand by, what's the actress's name who was...
Brie Larson.
No, not the main one. I know Brie Larson, the other one who was the kind of consciousness and the...
Oh, Annette Bening?
Annette Bening. I thought she was very good. Even it was a relatively small role for her, but I liked her in it. I thought she was... Because she was playing kind of two different things. Well, and she gets to do some fun stuff. I like Jude Law.
Yeah.
I like him, but then, well, you know what? Is there anything else really you like that you want to point out in this movie?
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack. Some people are kind of thinking they shoved a little too much in our faces with the 90s soundtrack.
There was like one point where they just finished the song and then another song starts. That's the only time I was like, there's a little too much.
Because that's like the finale song. that if I'm thinking right, of like when like because she had a big moment and they were playing one song and then she started like the big fight and they started another song and it felt like very
Yeah.
sudden and forced. But overall, I like the '90s nostalgia. I could have used more of it,
Yeah.
but because it's kind of some people are like, oh, there's too much. I don't think there's too much. I think it's just that they kind of front loaded it with nostalgia and then back loaded it with nostalgia, and there's a lot of not in between. I don't know. It just was weirdly.
Yeah.
I've never thought of using the word pacing for nostalgia purposes, but you could have paced your nostalgia better, I guess. But anything else you want to add that you liked about it? Because I mean, there's fun effects, there's fun set pieces here and there. There's not much more to say.
Yeah.
Because it's. Let's just get into. I said I like Jude Law, but why wasn't he used more? Because he's a character that, like, his dynamic with Carol Danvers, the main character, is one that I think, in the end, like, that's one of their better dynamics, but they didn't do a ton with it. If you know what
I
I
think
mean.
there's several characters you could say that about.
That's what most of my, like, kind of minuses are that I've wrote down here. Are just that there's a lot of good things and good uses of people, but they didn't utilize them enough. Like you should have focused more on this mentor aspect of this character. You should have focused more on like when this plot revel. You should have built up to that. But so it's kind of a little messy in that way. Like they tried to do a lot of things, is what I'll say about this movie. They tried to do so many different pieces, and I feel like they should have focused more on some of the other ones. I don't know. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with
Yeah.
that?
Like, I didn't. The word messy didn't pop in my mind, but like,
It doesn't feel messy. I retract that.
like
But
the word underwhelming does, I think,
okay.
kind of sum up
Yeah.
my thoughts.
I will say a quick minus of could have used more Coulson just
Yeah.
for people that are expecting him to like. So I don't. This is because it's not a spoiler, but like people are expecting like, oh, is this going to be like a lot of Coulson? It's not a lot of Coulson. But I do appreciate seeing Clark Gregg in anything I can in the Marvel movies. Anytime you can give him back. Quick fun anecdote. I know this is really weird. Here's a quote from Coulson when he was filming Iron Man 2, and he didn't know that his character was going to be in more than just Iron Man. He was just really happy to be back for the second. And he said, during one of the Iron Man 2 scenes, I had the line about telling Tony I go to New Mexico. Finally, after I did a couple of takes, because I was obedient and just happy to be there, I was like, one question, what's in New Mexico? And someone turned to me and said, "Oh, Thor, you're gonna be the one to find his hammer. Are you free?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna get free." So, but I'm just glad to see that character back in any capacity, and I'd like more. Um, this is kind of my main. Besides, to kind of end what we're just talking about on the spoiler-free part of the review, one of the other main things, and we haven't really talked about, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. I think she's fine in the role. I don't think they gave her much to do character-wise.
Yeah, I think we were talking about how the arc is lackluster.
So, yeah, she doesn't really have too much of a character arc compared to, like, it's not built up more. I wrote this down because this was my, like, concise, like, this is my main problem with the movie. Because I still enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good time, but my main thinking about it more was in the end, this movie's main job should have been to give us a feel for this new character. And I did not get a feel for this new character. Well, like, I don't feel like I really get the character of Captain Marvel. I get her powers, I get where she's from. I understand what was written on the side of her plane, but I didn't really get to know her character. I don't know. Do you feel that way?
I think they did what they needed to do to make her really good in Infinity War.
Well, I trust the Russo brothers completely with the character. I just feel like I don't know. I didn't see her grow a ton besides like growing literally in her powers.
Yeah.
It's just it felt like they could have given her a little more of something. Because there was a point where like I thought they were setting up this would be a simple but effective character arc for her, and they went a completely different direction. I'll get to that in the spoiler review. But I feel like they could have done a better job with because again, as I said, they're handling a lot of things, and it's just one of those things. I think maybe you could have spent more time on the main character. That's just me. I know a lot of there's because again one of those camps that wanted this movie to fail because they really hate Brie Larson right now. I don't think it's her fault. I think she did fine with what she was given. It's just
Yeah.
I thought she did a very good, and she could be a very good Captain Marvel going forward, depending on how people utilize her. Because the directors of this movie, like they kind of wrote and directed. I looked it up. It was like Half Nelson. You've seen that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I know them from.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. So it's I don't know if maybe it was tough for them. Just it might have been a lot of Marvel things to put in a movie for these two kind of
Yeah.
indie directors, but I don't want to put it all on them either. There's probably a lot of stages that make a movie because again, not bad. It's just a little underwhelming, and there's just a lot of I feel like little choices along the way that make a movie underwhelming.
Yeah. And it sounds like we don't like this movie.
This is just it's easier to talk about what you don't like about something because we said, oh yeah, there's lots of fun scenes and cool moments, and you don't know how to elaborate more on that without spoiling. But there's a lot to like too.
Yeah, I like more than I dislike.
Yeah, these are the gripes we want to get out of the way because overall, I like it's worth like if someone likes superhero movies and wants to go see it, I'm like, yeah, go see it. Like that's what my review would be to you. If you look at it and you're like, that doesn't look good to me, okay.
Don't go see it.
I know this isn't the kind of review that most people want when it's a movie. Like they want you to Rotten Tomatoes it, thumbs up, thumb down. You know, it's got like an 80 or 79% like critic score and it had like a 30% audience score. They removed that, which to address that real quick, they made it so like they made it brought it up to 50% because a lot of people are saying, oh, Disney bought out, Rotten Tomatoes again because they removed a bunch of user scores. And this is after the movie's release, not the whole pre kind of thing that they did. And while, yes, they removed reviews, Captain Marvel had about 54,000 user reviews this weekend. To make sense of that, Infinity War has only had 53 since it released of its total user, and more people saw Infinity War than Captain Marvel. So you can bet your bottom dollar that that's mostly trolls that are angry at Brie Larson for whatever reason I don't care to get into, and that did that. And then those same people are like, look, they changed the score. And I'm like, yeah, because you're a terrible person who voted on a movie you haven't seen. But yeah, we don't what's your bottom line for this spoiler-free review now that I've had my rant about Rotten Tomatoes? I didn't mean for that to be a rant. I apologize.
My bottom line would be very enjoyable, slightly underwhelming.
Yeah. I still very much look forward to seeing how this character interacts with the Avengers
Yeah.
going forward. There's a lot of fun to be had. Anyway, this is where I give everyone the opportunity because we're going to move into a little bit of a spoiler part of the review. So we can just talk in more specifics and just chat about what we really thought about certain revelations. I'm rambling right now, so you have time to look down that description. And because if you're on YouTube, there's a description. There should be a description on every other platform too, where I put a time code. Scroll to that when we're done with the spoiler review. I'll give you like 5 more seconds. You could just pause the video and find the time. Yeah, why am I thinking that they can't just pause it? Anyway, we're going to the spoiler review. This is NormalCast, NormalCast Studios spoiler review, spoiler talk of Captain Marvel. So, Jude Law's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I really like how the whole betrayal was, like, because it's a very big character thing that they establish, that he's kind of been the mentor, he found her. I like how they kind of messed with her memories and made her think like a Skrull was attacking, and then when she actually relives the moment, it's Jude Law walking through the smoke.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Again, that gets to one of my gripes that it's like they were barely in the movie together, Brie Larson and Jude Law, and I think that should have been like maybe your main focus of the movie was this betrayal. I know that you're trying to do a lot, but I think that could have been one of the biggest moments if you had shown because they have a scene in the beginning, and then they get separated, and they're separated the entire movie, and they have this like finale moment, and I'm like, I like it plot wise. It hasn't been built up to as much as it could have.
And how did the revelation happen from like her perspective? Did she just hear him talking on the intercom, or
It's so we don't know how much of that was it jogging her memory and how much of it was literally on the intercom. Because there's an intercom she's listening to, if you remember, and yeah, it's like the black box. Is that what they call it in the jet?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and so they're listening to that, and it brings her memories back of what really happened, I guess, is what was
Okay,
happening.
gotcha.
Yeah. And she, but another thing, I'm sure some people have a problem with this. Marvel was in this movie, and not in the form some people may have expected. A lot of people thought Jude Law was going to be Captain Marvel, who's the original Captain Marvel, but they did kind of some rewrites. They wanted to skip the Marvel story, but they still made it, a part of her origin, which I thought was a cool idea. And that's who Annette Bening, is that what I forget
Yeah.
names so easily. Annette Bening, that was kind of her dual role, is that she was because she's a subconscious kind of thing at one point, but her main role is that you find out that she was a scientist who was Kree, who was working on Earth to build a light speed engine for reasons. Why not? Light speed is a good default in sci-fi to be going after. That's like that Rick and Morty episode where they're trying to get something else. Anyway, don't need to bring that up. But I'm fine with that rewrite. Are you fine with that Marvel? They gender swap and kind of lessen the role, but they condensed it.
I don't know the other one, so I'm fine with this one.
Also, like, because they kind of made it so, like, you find out that she was a mentor to Brie Larson the entire time. And maybe we could have seen that more, too. I mean, I know it's hard because they chose to structure it where you don't know anything, and then it's a revelation. But then it's a revelation of a character, like, as an audience, we don't know. We get that it's important, but, like, we weren't made to feel anything. I don't know if that makes sense to you. But I still think, like, character-wise, that's fine. Oh, here's a fun spoiler thing. Um, so Stan Lee's cameo in it, well, besides the big montage at the beginning, Stan Lee's cameo on the train, did you realize what he's reading? I had to look this up because he's reading something out loud. So the year this movie takes place is the year they film the little cult film called Mallrats, the one that Kevin Smith had Stan Lee cameo in. And he's reading his lines to get ready to go film it, since that's set in the same year, which is insanely adorable and an amazing send-off because a lot of people love it. It's a really sweet cameo that he makes in that movie, and also like Kevin Smith, and of course Kevin Smith did admit that he blubbered like a baby at the theater, as he does, because he noticed that was his own lines, and he was really good friends with Stan, so that was emotional for him, as he's an emotional man. But I thought that makes that one of the most impressive cameos to me because of how well that lines up, and also that's again a really sweet thing for a man who passed away.
Yeah.
It's a great way to remember him. A little more spoiler move on. This movie decided to be like, hey, are you done thinking about when and where Infinity Stones were in this universe? Nope, we're gonna plop one in the finale. The Tesseract was back. What did you think of that?
I liked it until I remembered that it was with Howard Stark last time
So, yeah, it's not a plot hole. Because Howard Stark presumably gave it to S.H.I.E.L.D. Pegasus worked with the government developing spacecrafts. Marvel could have either asked for it or stolen it from the government to use in her experiments. Though how she managed to convince them to let her hide it in her secret spaceship satellite is, who knows. It's one of those things, I've heard it put that, yes, now we know, instead of just sitting somewhere, it was specifically here during these periods of blank time, but it also raises more questions we didn't need. Like, it seemed unnecessary to me to bring it in. Like, it just kind of overcomplicates where things have been in this universe.
Yeah, I think in terms of this movie, it was fine because it gave like a third act MacGuffin that we recognize.
Yeah, so. it's a MacGuffin we're ready to accept and are used to it. That's been the MacGuffin in 2 movies, so now 3. That's 3 Marvel movies that have managed to use the Tesseract as the MacGuffin, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, MacGuffins are fun, but so yeah, that was an interesting choice, and she's Captain Marvel then is technically powered by an Infinity Stone because she was irradiated by the light engine that was a remote power source from the Tesseract, to my understanding.
I didn't really.
That was the plot that they gave me. That's fine. I mean, I've heard people be like, she shot the crazy radiation engine. Why was she able to absorb the radiation? That doesn't make sense. Did you drop? What did you drop?
My phone.
Oh, okay. But so people are like, how'd she absorb that radiation? Why didn't you just kill her? I'm like, you can't say that if you like superhero movies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Because then, why didn't the spider bite kill Peter? Why did it happen to give him powers? Why didn't it give Hulk, like, why didn't it just give him cancer instead of making it? When someone gets radiation explosion, you've got to accept that there's a 50-50 chance in comic world they're going to get powers, and that's how it happened. But, so yeah, I guess that was Tesseract juice she got all over herself and in herself. Um, one thing real quick I forgot to mention earlier, I wanted to get deeper into when I was saying with Brie Larson's Carol Danvers character arc, I thought they were going to set up a simple one of because they really go out of their way in the beginning to kind of make Vers, as they're calling her in the beginning of the movie when she's working with the Kree. She has the moment when they go on the mission and things go wrong. Like she is very headstrong, very confident, and she doesn't rely on her team and goes in alone. If you remember, that's like why she gets captured because she doesn't listen to Jude Law. She like goes in all by herself.
I thought Jude Law was like, all right, we can do this. And they did do it.
It was kind of a she either way she convinced him and was very like let me go in and very headstrong and very I don't really need the team because she didn't rely on the team for anything. She just kind of flew in. And I thought maybe they were gonna have her be kind of just a simple arc of like being less headstrong and relying on a team like Sam and like her new pilot. Yeah. But they didn't really do that. In fact, it was more of her embracing I need to be more headstrong and more emotional, which is fine because they decided to go the route of her. If you want to call her having an arc, I guess it was she was being told constantly don't use your emotions, and in the end she had to use her emotions. Even though throughout the movie that was kind of her issue even back on the Kree planet where she was using her emotions, so I feel like it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they intended the arc to be, was embrace emotions. But if you really want to watch a movie about embracing emotions, I recommend Inside Out. Does a better job with the concept. But I seemed meaner than I meant it to.
Or The Lion King.
Lion King. Wait, what? Is that embracing emotions?
In the first 15 minutes, you cry.
No, I mean that's the theme of the movie. Is in Inside Out is about emotions are good, even like the ones that. Never mind. We're getting way off topic here. Maybe I think about Inside Out more than most people, but also it's just a fun. While we're talking earlier about Tesseract continuity, it really there's always lines that get changed in later movies now that you have perspective. Like Fury saying, people are like, oh, like. Why are you trying to build warheads, Nick Fury? And it's like, because Thor showed up and then we learned aliens exist. And I'm like, you learned that 20 years earlier, Nick Fury. That's just what happens with prequels. You gotta ask George Lucas. Things just don't fit in place. There's gonna be so much going wrong.
They've done a very good job with all they've had to juggle.
Mm-hmm. I'll say one thing I did like, and some people don't like part of this. In the end, she blows up a bunch of spaceships. Oh, by the way, Ronan, very underutilized. I feel like why make him up and everything? Maybe he's going to be in the sequel because he did say we're going to go after her. So
I thought Black Adam was going to be in the sequel.
Boy, is that a different universe, Adam. What are you talking about? That's Shazam, the different Captain Marvel. But there is kind of an end moment with her and Jude Law where like they spar in the beginning of the movie, and he's always like, win without your powers, prove you can beat me. And then in the end, like just because he knows he's outgunned, he's like, fight me without the powers, prove this to yourself. And then she just blasts him, and then like doesn't kill him, but just like blasts him away and says, I don't have anything to prove to you. I think that was a good moment. Mm-hmm. I think because I was about to be like, don't be stupid and fist fight this man when you have clearly won. Don't risk dying now. And because I actually thought in my head, I'm like, you don't even have anything to prove to him. And then she said it. I'm like, good. Some people don't like it because it was kind of the Indiana Jones, like he's getting ready to fight and then she just blasts him.
Yeah, I was worried that they were going to play it more for comedic effect, but then she said, I don't have anything to prove to you. And
that's the line that did it for me, because some people are complaining, because I think still it was kind of filmed in a way that was supposed to be a bit of a, like, haha, like a little bit of a punchline.
I don't think it should have been.
Yeah, I didn't view it that way, and I encourage you not to. But I liked that moment. And this is the last spoiler thing we just gotta talk about. Nick Fury's eye.
Yeah.
So the cat scratched his eye, and he lost. That's how his eye stopped working. What is your genuine opinion on that?
I don't like it.
So I've come to an understand. I am okay with the concept the Nick Fury lost his eye in a weird way, and he's kind of built up the story like they show at the
Yeah.
end. I think it was executed poorly.
Yes.
Because like the scratch happens and he's like, it's just a scratch, and I'm like, oh, that's a cute, like, oh, he almost lost his eye to a cat, and so I'm thinking that, and then you see the scroll and he's like, like shaking his head, like that's not just a scratch, and I'm like, wait, is it real? Are we serious? And then at the very end scene, he's like looking at glass eyes, and I'm like, wait, so is that like I had to like keep trying to tell myself, wait, is that what they're going for? I couldn't even, they didn't commit to, I don't
Yeah.
know. It was so hard to tell if that was actually how he lost his eye, and it was. And in retrospect, yeah, it's dumb when he tells Cap, the badass line of like, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. And I guess the cat is what he trusted too much. But it lessens things like that, but also it's kind of dumb in general. It's like, that's
Yeah.
dumb.
They were trying to be funny, and I don't think it worked very
Because
well.
I'm okay with the idea of subverting our expectations. Like, everyone expected, like, some explosion to hit his eye or something. Like, everyone expected
Yeah.
something's going to happen to his eye. And that's why when the cat scratch happened, and then he's like, no, it's just a scratch, it's alright. I thought, like, that's really funny that they did this whole movie, and they've been like, oh, something, like, twice, like, he's almost, like, been injured. Like, because he, like, one side of his face got hit hard in, like, a car
Yeah.
crash. And like twice they've been like, oh, is this how the eye? And they're like, no, we're not going to do the eye this movie because it doesn't need to happen this movie. I thought when the cat scratch happened, I'm like, that's so clever. And then when I found out that's when the disappointment set in, just because I thought they were doing something fun and clever of being like, because yeah, everyone's expecting this movie to be how he lost his eye, but boy, there's no reason that
Yeah.
needs to happen in this movie. But they did it right at the end. So yeah, overall, there's just some poorly handled things, but still a fun movie.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll call the end of our spoiler review. Welcome back to everyone who might have skipped the spoiler review or who just really wants to hear what the news headlines are for the week, because that's what we're getting into. Captain Marvel, box office opening. Did you hear how it did, by the way? I was really curious how this one would do. Domestically, 153 million, which is fantastic.
Say that again.
It's fantastic. That's a nice Fantastic Four 2015 reference for anyone who doesn't know. But it's an incredible 455 worldwide, 455 million worldwide already. They probably spent like 200 million making it. They marketed probably like 300 million. It's successful.
Yeah.
And it's going to probably keep making. I'm curious what the drop off is going to be. With kind of reviews have been pretty mixed for it, especially now that people have seen our review and they'll be really thinking about it, considering. But
I mean, they've already seen the movie if they listen to this. I feel like
maybe, or someone. I mean, the spoiler part for sure. Hopefully, who would? It's weird if people like. It's like I really want to know if I should see it. Let me watch a spoiler review. Like I just want to know everything that happens. But yeah, it's a success. Congrats! It's like I don't know if that makes you happy or sad listening to this, but it's successful. And I think because I've heard some people that like really didn't like it be like, oh, I hope this doesn't ruin Endgame for me. Come on, it won't. Like I trust the Russo brothers. They've handled very powerful characters,
yeah.
and I trust them. But yeah, good for Captain Marvel. And even if you hate the movie, there's people working on it that did a good job. The de aging effects were as wonderful as ever. Like there's some college intern that helped out with those, and I like that he was a part of a movie that was successful. That's gonna look good on the resume, and I'm proud for him. That's the way I think about things. Just a couple quick movie headlines. Did you know they're making a Sherlock Holmes 3? Not Holmes and Watson with Will Ferrell, with RDJ and Jude Law.
I did not. But
I just saw that today. Not till 2021, so a real early announcement, but it's apparently happening. And do you like those movies?
I remember liking them. It's been a while. I hope they do like an actual story, like Hound of the Baskervilles.
I'm like, do the other ones not have story? Like, is there no plot? So what do you mean?
Like just the classic Sherlock Holmes movies, but adapted in a fun way.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of classic Holmes, to be honest. You seem to know.
I think I don't think they can get better than like the Benedict Cumberbatch series in like terms of adapting things, because they did really well with like classic stories and adapting them to modern times. But I like the feel they were going for in the other Sherlock Holmes movies. So
yeah, I like the feel of them a ton. There's some things that don't quite hit, but
I mean, I saw them as a younger person. So
And is that Guy Ritchie? It is.
I don't know.
Seems to be Guy Ritchie. He usually does some nice stylizations you can at least enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I hope that'll be good. And it's got Jude Law and RDJ, so it's related. That's a segue I'm putting in now for my previous conversation change. This one, I have no good segue. Oscar Isaac has thrown his hat into the ring that he wants to play a character called Solid Snake. This is a video game movie. They're adapting Metal Gear Solid, which is, I don't know, he's in Smash Bros. If you haven't played the Metal Gear Solid games, he's the guy who throws grenades and shoots missiles. Do you know anything about Solid Snake and the Metal Gear series? Well, let me break it down for you. It's kind of one of those just real quick video games that it's like, kind of advanced. You got some sci-fi like strong robots and stuff like that, but it's kind of terrorist groups and cells and a special agent who has to stealth his way into things. I think Oscar Isaac is a good pick for this character of Solid Snake. He's just kind of the definition of like, like badass that like kids grew up with a lot of the time that played those games. He's usually got like a headband, he's wearing camo, he's crawling everywhere. He's got a real raspy voice. Otacon, he talks like that. It's so ridiculous, but they probably won't go that far. But it's a video game; you can be a little over the top. I think he's a fine pick. Let me read the plot synopsis for you. According to IMDb for the Metal Gear Solid movie, an advanced tank is stolen by a terrorist group, and an elite soldier, Solid Snake, is dispatched to retrieve it. That is it. That is the entire plot synopsis. So this could be good or bad. I have nothing to add. It's honestly, there's the general plot of Metal Gear has always been, something going on with government and terrorist cells and like this could be anything, this movie. Like we know nothing, but it's cool that someone, you always wonder with video game movies, like they've always been bad. We're starting to maybe see some good ones on the horizon. I like Oscar Isaac. Hopefully he's good. I know you don't have a lot to add to this one. This is one I just wanted to throw in real quick, but
it's just good to be updated.
It's good to be updated, and if anything, that's what millions of viewers tune into this podcast for, is just their good weekly updates. There was a second Shazam trailer that finally came out. We're not really going to talk about it because Adam hasn't seen it, because at this point, it's just more of the same. But I just wanted to alert you to be aware, as we said, that it's out. No, it's more of like the same of the last trailer. It's like real fun, like more of them recording stuff that like really touches me. Like it feels great, like the relationship between Shazam and it feels like two kids, and one of them has superpowers. And yeah, the trailers continue to impress me, and I think I'm really gonna enjoy this movie. Enough said. Because at this point you don't need to watch more trailers. You get what the movie is. Go see it. Go show the old school Captain Marvel some support. I'm so curious what they're gonna call Shazam in the movie, because in the comics they write Shazam, but the whole thing is that if he ever says the word Shazam, he changes from boy to superhero or superhero to young boy. So if someone's like, "Hey, what's your name?" you can't say it.
Yeah.
Because that's why he was called Captain Marvel, but then when Marvel's like, "Hey, we want to use," you can't do that. Even though it's not even a DC, it was like before DC and before anyone, like it's a super old comic. I'm curious if they're ever going to have a moment where they have to call him something. There's like a cute little maybe reference to it joke in the trailer, but I'm really curious how they're going to deal with that. If someone's like, "What's your name?" and he's going to be like, "Oh, I can't say. I can't." He's going to be like, I can't say. I can't tell you." Just, I'm curious how they're going to handle that. But moving on from a very bright, happy, it's amazing, superpowers can be a wonder and a delight. We're going to move on to superpowers can be a freaky looking horror film in a little trailer for Brightburn. I did ask you to watch this one. So Brightburn is a nice little trailer. It's the town, I guess the name of a town in rural America. And it seems to be the the pitch meeting for this film was Superman lands on Earth. The parents do their best to raise him, but maybe he turns out like a crazy child, and now we have Superman who just kills people. So what did you think of this trailer? I'm really curious.
I'm interested, yeah.
Yeah. It's an indie film, real small budget, but like they're doing some cool stuff with it.
Yeah. The effects looked good and not.
And I can look past effects in an indie film because I'm usually in an indie film for the concept.
Yeah. That I think it has potential to be very I think it was a lot scarier than some other horror films.
Absolutely. Because I like, because there's something about this child with a warped sense. Because it's not like a full grown man gone evil. Like, this is the child when he's realizing that he's super and he's been mistreated so much. Like, in Man of Steel, you get a best case scenario that the parents handle it the best way they can when he's being bullied and they're able to reach him. But what if, like, you're just struggling as a parent to reach the kid who's going through bullies and he just decides, I'm just gonna crush my bully's hand next time they like reach out to me, and the town just seems to go, because I think it's cute they named it Brightburn. Like I assume it's kind of a play on, like, because a lot of things called Smallville because that's where he grew up, and this is the small town in, like, Kansas or whatever is called Brightburn they show in the trailer. It's a really fun concept of an evil Superman. It's simple, but it's something I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't have much more to say. The trailer, if you like some horror stuff, go watch it. If you don't like seeing, say glass in an eyeball, don't watch it because that was hard to watch for me. But I look for, and it's should probably put that out there that they're slapping James Gunn's name all over it because he's a producer, and I think it's like written and directed by other Guns in the family or something. Like there's a lot of Guns.
I noticed that, yeah.
So yeah, he probably just financially and connections wise is helping out someone in his family, and so he's a producer naturally. But of course, that's a name that sells, so they're slapping it all over, like from James Gunn. I'm like, is it though? But whatever, cool. Someone came up with this concept and seems to be executing it well. Hope that one's good when it comes out. This is a bigger story because somehow we keep finding some, because that's how DC. This is how DC's marketing works. We keep finding more things out about Suicide Squad. Two in parentheses. I'd love if that's what they titled the movie, like, because it's technically a reboot, but technically a sequel. So they just put the two in parentheses or maybe an asterisk. Anyway, there's more news for that somehow. You've already heard, I think, and this is a little old, of Idris Elba is supposedly being the new Deadshot. It was Will Smith in the last one. What do you think about that?
Good job.
Good job. Good choice. I mean, yeah, like, what do you...
Idris Elba is good, strong man. Good actor.
Good, strong man. I mean, he is very, very strong. He looks great. It's... For me, it's got to be that... I think this puts more of a nail in the coffin for this is more rebooty, because they can't try... You can't pretend that's Will Smith. Because they're very different people. Like, I don't want Idris Elba doing a Will Smith impression, obviously. Because Idris Elba, I think, is a great pick. Because he's a great, like, straight man comedically. Like, he has amazing comedic timing. Yeah. And can play things, like, like, he's in The Office, and he's, like stone cold, but he's hilarious. Yeah. Because he utilizes it well. So it's a very different kind, but it can still be funny, and also he can really... I believe him, like, if he's the leader, as usually he ends up being, he really gets people in line. I think it's a great choice. But yeah, probably a reboot.
And, like, he'd be a better leader than Will Smith's kind of jokier Deadshot.
Yeah, I think so. Not that I don't like Will Smith's Deadshot.
Yeah, I think he's definitely not the problem.
Mm-hmm. No, he was one of the better parts. Yeah. It was, he was whipping out every bit of Will Smith he could into that role to save that movie. Yeah. Like, he put so much Will Smith into that role. And I appreciate it. Just supposedly, because, again, this is, again, James Gunn. That's the segue I should have used. Why am I not getting better at segues, Adam? We've been doing this, like, 7 times. Anyway... So James Gunn's doing this. Sean Gunn has thrown his hat that, like, yeah, I'd be willing to be in this movie. For those that don't know, Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, he's in the Guardians movies. He plays Krennic? Is that his name? Oh, no, I might be confusing. He's the second in command to Yondu, the guy you see a lot standing next to Yondu, laughing at things. But he's also half of Rocket Raccoon, that a lot of people probably don't know. Like, he's the on-set Rocket Raccoon. He's in, like, a ridiculous green leotard, and he comes up with several of the lines, like, himself, because they're improv those movies a lot. Yeah. And so he's, like, half of that character. Anyway, he's thrown his hat in, which I think is sweet and brotherly supporting. But one thing that excites me is they released a potential characters they want to include. Again, why do you release these things so early? But, hey, it gives me something to talk about on a podcast, so I can't complain too much. But they're digging a little deeper for some of these characters, some I've never heard of, which is fun. Because there's a lot of weird characters in DC, and if there's anyone who can do well with that, it's probably James Gunn. Because that's what Guardians was. No one had heard of most of those. Like, I know there's some fans out there, but most people have never heard of them. But they say they're gonna do, for one, King Shark, which most people do know King Shark. He was on The Flash,
Yeah.
but he's fun. He's a giant shark man. You can do a lot with him. Um, an agent, not quite an agent. He calls himself a peace agent. His name is Peacemaker. He's been around since 1966. He's, again, a self-proclaimed peace agent who, his line is, he loves peace so much he would kill for it. He's got lots of guns. He's very, like, enforce peace with great violence, kind of like, it's clearly someone not stable.
Yeah.
But he's usually not billed as a villain. But again, he fits into this because one could easily imagine why he might find himself in prison with his methods. Dave Bautista is rumored heavily to be going to play this character. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I want a guy who's like so like into just he's just really into peace. He's like, guys, we need. It's like the world should be at peace. Like, let me like, oh, those people are causing trouble. Let me kill them so they can't disturb the
Yeah.
peace. It's just like he takes it upon himself to be the one who's going to go out of his way.
And he plays it very straight.
It's a very weird character, but I'm like, hey, let's bring it on. Moving on, a little character called Ratcatcher. This was a Batman villain in 1985. They control rats. They can command rats.
That could be cool.
Yeah. I mean, you made what I thought was a fun heist film with Ant-Man just controlling ants and like very unique. Like he was using them as a raft, using them to protect electricity. If you can do some cool stuff with rats, let's do it. That was a one I really had to Google for. It's an interesting character, and this is my most excited. Supposedly, they're going to be doing Polka Dot Man. I don't know if you know Polka Dot Man. I know him from a very brief appearance that I learned more about him of afterwards in old Batman the Brave and the sorry, burping. Batman the Brave and the Bold cartoon series. This is a man covered in polka dots of varying colors. Let me pull up a great picture for Adam to look at, and maybe you can Google it yourself.
Oh, I've seen him.
So he's got so many polka dots on him. He was kind of a Batman villain. He peels them off. When they explained it, it's like he has like they're all designed for something. He has electricity that's like going through his whole suit. So when he peels them off, it activates them. He has dots that he can use for a variety of things, like concussive explosive dots, buzzsaw dots, blinding light dots. He had one that was like a teleporter dot. Like you can put it it gets big and you can walk through it. Like it can erode walls. That's just ridiculous, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Yeah, just the fact that they have him tells me the kind of movie they're going for.
That's why that was the one that excited me the most. Who's willing to like? I don't care if they like make him look like. I'm fine also if they make him spandex like and colorful.
I hope so.
But even if they like make it cool, like you have to embrace how weird that is. And it seems like if you were afraid to embrace how weird that is, you wouldn't have chosen Polka Dot Man. But so yeah, now if they don't do Polka Dot Man, I'm gonna be so disappointed. But I'm excited. I always love when you bring in like just the most ridiculous of characters and make them cool.
Indeed.
So last kind of main news update. Again, I find myself talking about MoviePass because they are just an enigma to me of a business proposition. Because we talked a little bit a few episodes ago about how they're changing their pricing plan, and you can like only see select movies with the basic plan, and it's really terrible. So they got new, not new pricing, but they've got new ways to bring confidence to investors all around. They've decided they're going to move more into producing their own feature films, and so so I assume this would be. Then like that would be included in the base plans when it's a MoviePass film to encourage more people to. Yeah. So
they should just make their own theaters.
You're making that's the worst idea ever. But included on this are Bruce Willis and Michael Chiklis action film, some Al Pacino movie, and a Mel Gibson movie called Boss Level. I didn't take too much time to read more about these. I just found the actors involved in them. So they've got lots of, I guess, lots of old people to. I don't mean to insult them, but they're kind of people who aren't as in demand these days, but are still recognizable names.
Yeah.
So will only these be available? Like that's such a weird. So here's the thing. Okay, I'll go into this. So, Movie Pass makes no money because they get subscription in. They have a finite amount of money, and they didn't have enough to pay for people's tickets to see the movies they wanted to see. That was the problem, correct?
Correct.
So their solution to we can't afford the people that want to see the movies already in theaters is we use the same existing money to also spend on movies so more people go to the movies that we will have to pay the theater for. Do you see the problem?
Yeah.
Because their problem wasn't that not enough people were using it. The problem was too many people are using it. So now they've made it so they're trying to make incentives for more people to use. I don't understand what they're trying to do here.
It sounds like they're just kind of abandoning. Like, if at this point, what I would do is just abandon the idea of the actual movie pass and just become a movie studio.
Yeah, but that's their whole image. Like that seems to be the way they're going, but they have both operating right now, which I'm sure will operate at a loss cuz why would it make money? Unless the people really go into the expensive pricing plans, but I've heard like other people talk about like they've moved on to like better services that have learned like AMC Stubs has pretty good deals. Like it's not as cheap as the ridiculous cheapness of what Movie Pass was, but that's because they're reasonable people behind those decisions. But I feel like people have found what they needed elsewhere, and Movie Pass does need to give up on the whole being a Movie Pass. And if
Yeah.
they want to make movies, go for it. But yeah, you just boy, they baffle me because right now it seems to be to support their currently it doesn't my bottom line is making movies does not increase their revenue stream on paper. It might interest some people, but their base fixed costs and revenues are the same. So you're just going to spend more.
So essentially, they're paying people to see the movies they're paying to make.
Yes. That's sad. But I assume they'd put it in the lower levels so it's easier for them to make money off of it. But then again, you still got to pay the theater something, don't you?
I think
To
so.
put it up. Who knows? I don't want to talk about Movie Pass anymore. That's the end of the news headlines, and we're just gonna end this delightful podcast with since Captain Marvel is somewhat an action movie, and it's in the '90s. We
Somewhat a
thought,
'90s movie.
and it's somewhat a '90s movie. Let's talk about the best action movies in the '90s. That should be fun, and so we've done so. I guess I can start since you're pulling it up on your phone. I put probably the most obvious one because I've shared my love for it when we were talking about other like best sequels. I think it was, or it might have been best movies of a different time period. Anyway, it's
James
just
Cameron.
yeah, James Cameron. That's what it was. Sorry, digressing. Terminator 2. Terminator 2.
Yeah.
That's there. Did you put on your list? I'm guessing.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't put it on my list, even though it would be on my list. But I
because you
knew. I knew you
assumed
would
that I.
put it.
Yeah, it's T2. What have I not said about it? It's just an amazing action film. They knew what they were doing. It's great action, actually good characters in an action movie, which doesn't always happen. Sarah Connor is still the like, because there's still studios that are like, oh, there's kind of a feminist movement. We need to make a female character, and then they botch the hell out of it because they like force it so hard. And I'm like, why not look back to like in 90, what it was, 91?
91.
91, when they just had a great female character that was amazing. Like it wasn't forced, and she was awesome. And it wasn't like she was perfect, like she was like doing amazing stuff, but then also like she had some PTSD from her first event. And I'm like, that's a amazing, well-rounded character you've created. Good job, movie.
And she's a good mom.
And she's a mom. What a great movie. I could talk about it for literally ever, but we need to move on. Adam, give me one of yours.
All right. I haven't seen this. And maybe.
What?
I've never seen this movie. No, I haven't seen it in maybe 10 years.
I'm sorry I interrupted you to make that sound even worse. Okay.
But The Mask of Zorro.
Interesting. I have only seen clips from it.
So I don't know if it's a good movie, but I remember liking it quite a bit.
But that's why it's on our best movies, because
Yeah.
we don't know if it's a good movie or not. But you remember it fondly.
Yes, and so go see it to make your own decision.
Yeah. I hope that, yeah, just a bump in revenue for the Zorro downloads whenever
Yeah.
they get there because of your glowing recommendation you just gave.
If you like Batman and you like old Mexican things, this is your movie.
What? I was trying to drink water. I almost died. Old Mexican things. There you go. My next one was a little movie called Mission Impossible. You might have heard of this franchise. It's got a little known indie actor called Tom Cruise heading up the franchise. I'm clearly being sarcastic. Who doesn't know Mission Impossible? That first one is really fun. It's like they didn't lean fully into what kind of an action series it could be yet, but it was more psychological. But it still
Yeah.
had great action elements, and was the start of Tom Cruise, doing his own kind of running away from shattering glass and hanging over things. It's super iconic, and it's good, and it's
Yeah.
not my favorite Mission Impossible, but it's a good movie.
And the scene when he's hanging from the wire is still probably one of the most tense action scenes.
It's like it's been used again and spoofed so many times. People forget that's a tense scene.
Yeah.
When you're seeing that, because I watched all the Mission Impossible movies in order, because at one point I found out about them, and I'm like, hey Dad, and this is back when Blockbuster was around. Let's just rent a movie a week, and let's just burn through this series. Because I think I guess it was the fourth Ghost Protocol was going to come out soon,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, I just want to know what this series is, and I watched them in order, and that was really fresh to me, and it's a dang good movie. Moving on, I don't have more to say about it. Go see it.
So that was also on my non-list movies because I knew you'd put it on your list.
Okay, it's your.
It's not on my list.
Yeah, okay.
But it is top 5 for me.
Yeah, of course.
My number 4 movie is Speed with Keanu Reeves
That's one I have not seen actually.
and Sandra Bullock.
Why would you even say it like? Anyway, I hear it's very entertaining.
Yeah, it's very entertaining.
That bus jumps over like a broken highway, right?
Yeah.
Am I thinking of that? Okay.
It's ridiculous, but like everything that happens is like very believable. You're like, oh yeah, I'm with you, and so
That's an oxymoron, but I understand. You're like, it's ridiculous, but you believe every bit. But yeah, it's the one where it's a bomb on a bus. If they slow the bus down, it blows up.
yeah,
So they've just got to keep that bus moving.
yeah.
That's whoever came up with that idea. That's a fantastic idea. Like that is a solid idea for a movie.
And like going into it, I'm like, how can they make a 2-hour movie out of this? But the whole thing,
That's what my question is.
the whole thing's very interesting. The bad guy's really neat with Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, he's a real neat bad guy.
They did good job.
All right, I'll see it sometime. Moving on, I put Independence Day.
Mm.
Did you put that on your
No,
list
I
at all?
didn't.
Okay, I remember loving this movie. One, it's like unabashedly American, which is always a fun thing of like the old movies of being like, aliens have invaded. The only hope for the world is America, and it's gonna be a 4th of July speech.
Yeah.
And we're gonna call it our, like, he gives that speech about, like, this is gonna be our Independence Day, not just for us, for the whole world. Like, the whole world's gonna celebrate Independence Day. America! But it's also got great action. It's one of the movies that introduced me to how great Will Smith can be if you let him be so Will Smithy.
Yeah.
And it's also the dichotomy between him and Jeff Goldblum is one that I still like love this day. They're very different, but they're forced to work together at the end. And yeah, it's just a good time, fun. It's like there's parts like I rewatched it at one point like a couple years ago, and I'm like, yeah, there's some darn ridiculous and downright there's some kind of dumb parts about this here and there, but it's a fun action movie. Watch America save the world from aliens. There you go. Go see it.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to add? Did I just ramble nonstop that entire time?
I haven't seen it in a while. I don't remember
Okay.
much about it. Number 3.
It's back when you were allowed to blow up national monuments before 9/11 happened.
Oh, yeah.
They had to take a break from that for a while, but it's fun to watch the White House explode. Sorry, continue.
My 3rd one is The Fugitive.
I almost put that on my list, but I thought you might put it. So there we go. We're doing great today.
This is a movie with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I think this time period was really solid for him in terms of like just leading action. Obviously, Indiana Jones and Star Wars are his more iconic roles,
Yeah, but he
but
was having a solid time.
like Air Force One, all the Jack Ryan movies, and then
Yeah,
this
he
one.
was Jack Ryan. I totally
Yeah,
forgot that.
and then The Fugitive's probably the best in terms of like solid movies of those.
I really like The Fugitive. Tommy
And
Lee Jones,
yeah,
cat and mouse game as they call it, and it's probably one of the best ones. I'm willing to say it's one of the ones that comes to mind when I
yeah,
think of a cat and mouse game kind of movie. It's because it's him trying to clear his name while avoid capture by police.
yeah.
It's a good romp.
It's a romp and a
It's a
half.
romp and a half. Here's my next one. I'll just go to this one. So mine weren't in any particular order, by the way. Since we're talking Harrison Ford, I put Air Force One, since you just
Mm,
mentioned it as well. It's been a while. I'm gonna admit, it's been a while since I've seen this. But I remember this being really an epitome of, again, America. But to like
America.
what you can do with a silly action concept in the 90s. It's people are on the plane and you've got Harrison Ford as the president who's he's gonna get these terrorists off the plane. It's got Gary Oldman as a
Yeah,
terrorist because I guess we didn't have an image for terrorism back then, so it could be whoever because it's they just yeah, Gary Oldman, why not? And he was great. He's menacing. They fight, and Harrison Ford growls at him, "Get off my plane!" And it's what more can you ask for in a '90s action movie?
yeah.
It's
It's real good.
it's super fun. I need to watch it again because it's been a while. So you've seen it?
Yeah,
Do you remember liking it too?
yeah. I
Yeah.
liked it a
Okay.
lot.
I'll see it again sometime, and you should watch it. Next.
Number two, I've mentioned this before. True Lies.
Yeah,
James Cameron.
that wasn't our James Cameron situation.
Also featured briefly in the blockbuster in Captain Marvel.
It was in the blockbuster in Captain Marvel. See, we're making connections everywhere in this podcast, man. We're the best podcast in the world. We're getting there. We'll get there. So tell me about True Lies before I
Um,
ramble.
True Lies is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis who play husband and wife, and he's a secret agent man.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife
That
does.
song? Secret
I
Asian
think it's in
man,
a
secret
commercial.
Asian. Okay, I've heard that somewhere. It just triggered something. But he's a secret agent man.
And his wife doesn't know about it, and then the whole movie kind of revolves around her figuring out about it and like her getting roped into his exploits and maybe having to save him a little
And
bit.
as I said last time we talked about it, it sounds wonderful, and I really need to see it. That's that's another just great. I miss old action movies. There's something so pure about
Yeah,
them. It's just so simple. You don't have to worry about like anyone, like any agenda, any this that. Like you're just like we got a silly concept, and we're gonna like play it straight. Like we're just gonna dive into
yeah.
it. So here's my last one. I put The Matrix.
Hmm.
Now I have been to people somewhat outspoken that I don't think it's as good as people think it is, which I still kind of stand by. But it's the action is fantastic in that movie. And when we're talking action movies, I do want to bring up the movie that well, one influenced and revolutionized fight scenes for too long. Like, I mean, by that I mean like people are copying it for like way too
Yeah,
long. Like, stop. When Smallville did a Matrix episode, that was a point for me where I'm like, yeah, the Matrix could have done a less good job of being so revolutionary and influential. But like with the slow mo and like the way they would do like some of those scenes, like they had like a green screen room with 360-degree like a bunch of cameras in a ring. They were all shooting like tons of frames a second, and so you move like each frame is a different camera, and that's how they get that 360 effect. Like they
mm,
did revolutionary action stuff in that, and the fight scenes are really fun. Like it was that, and it was bringing like kung fu to like kind of mainstream a lot more. Like they had done like, but bringing it into making a white guy do it. Let's just
yeah,
put it that way. Of like, and everyone thought they could do it in slow mo for a long time. It was revolutionary, influenced tons of people, and I stand by the action in it.
yeah. That's
But I
what.
still think it's a fine movie. Like when I open up with talking about how I don't like it as much as everyone else does, that's gonna come off as I don't like it. I like it fine. It's fun.
Yeah, that's one of those I haven't seen in a long time. So I remember thinking it was cool at the
Yeah.
time, and but
It's very cool.
I
It's
never
just
felt a need to revisit it.
yeah. Anyway, what's your last one?
My last one is a movie called Heat
I've heard of it.
from 1995. It features Al Pacino and Robert Downing De Niro.
Wait, which? Please explain to me.
Robert De Niro.
Okay, don't throw me off like that.
And it was the first, well, maybe not, but I think the first time they were in the same scene together, because they were in The Godfather Part 2 together, but not in the same scene.
Right.
But they shared a scene together that's very intense in this movie, where it's a good guy and a bad guy. And it's just
I've seen a few movies like that. Some similar scenes.
But they're just sitting at a diner and they're just chatting about like, I'm gonna catch you, and like, no, you're not.
I love your version of it, but I bet it's awesome in the movie.
And Val Kilmer's also in it.
Ooh.
And he's.
I like when he's in things sometimes, except not exactly
I like when
Batman.
he's in things sometimes.
Yeah, he's one of those actors that like when he's in things sometimes. I love it. I love it sometimes. But yeah, those are some wonderful '90s action movies.
But Heat's like 3 hours long, so you gotta be
wow,
in the mood.
You gotta carve out some time for that. There's movies like that that are just really long that I've always wanted to see Lawrence of Arabia, but I hear it's really long.
Yeah.
Is that one 4 hours?
It's getting to 4 hours.
Okay, cool. But yeah, there's some '90s movie action for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, those are some fun ones to go take a look at next time you go by your local Blockbuster. Just driving home that '90s movie nostalgia. But yeah, that's our podcast. Hope you enjoyed this NormalCast. Follow us on all sorts of social media. Subscribe or follow whatever you're listening to this on. But more importantly than all of that, have an amazing week. And we love you. Right, Adam?
Yeah.
Sound like an angel. Yeah.